Hi, this is Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches. I'm here to sew the Ohio Star block along with you today for the Dotty Sampler Quilt Block of the Month from Creative Notions. Let's get started. So if you follow your cutting directions, you should have one yellow 4.5-inch square. You should have one pink 6-inch square, one orange 6-inch square, two 6-inch background squares, and four 4.5-inch background squares. So those 4.5-inch background squares and that yellow square you can put to the side for now. We'll get to those a little bit later. We're going to start with the harder part. So the first thing you want to do is take the 6-inch background square and draw lines on the back. You can either draw one line straight down the middle and sew a 1/4 inch on either side of the line when we sew those together, or you can do what I do, and I like to put my ruler down the middle and mark a 1/4 inch on each side and sew that 1/4 inch right on the line that I've drawn. That's just a little bit easier for my brain. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to take my seam guide ruler here, set it on the diagonal, just draw a line on each side. So I have something that ends up looking a little bit like that, if you can see that. And I'm going to put that together with the pink square, and we're going to put right sides together, if I can get my fingers to work. And then we're going to sew on those lines. Make sure everything is set right here on my machine. Yep. I've never sewn standing up, so this might be interesting. Here we go. That's block number 1 done. And I'm just going to give that a quick press to get those lines to come off because I'm using a friction pen. Friction pens come off with heat. And then I'm going to sew the second one, and here I have the orange with the white. Here we go. Wants to know, I did starch the fabric before I cut. I use Best Press to starch. Just makes it a little stiffer, especially when you're working with triangles. Keeps them from stretching as much. Alright, we've got that one done. Give that a quick press. Get rid of all those lines. And then I'm just going to go and cut them apart right down the center. Doesn't have to be perfect. I say that, but I'm a perfectionist. But it's not going to be perfect, so that's alright. It'll still come out fine. Okay, so then I have 2 triangles. Let's do the other one. And I have 2 more triangles. And I'm going to iron all these open. I'm going to press towards the dark side. So for anybody that's new that doesn't know what that means, I'm going to set my seam by ironing on top of my seam. And then I'm going to open and flip this out and make sure I'm ironing towards the pink and then towards the orange when I get to the orange. I am going to use my little pressing solution here. This is Acorn Precision Pressing Solution. I just really like it because it helps lay that down really flat and get it right where I want it. Press it flat. Okay, so that's one. We're going to do this to all four, so keep going. I feel like I should sing while we're waiting here, but you guys don't want to hear me sing, believe me. Press, press, press. Just try not to pull them too much because they are on the bias. The nice thing about these two is that they're a little bit oversized, so we're going to trim them down. So if they're not perfect, it's okay. And that's anything in quilting. It's not absolutely perfect, unless it's going in a show. It's okay. Most people are just amazed that you can make a whole quilt. They don't see any perfection. The only one who sees it is yourself. Okay. Almost done. One more. That one's being stubborn. There we go. One more. Okay, now we're going to take one of the orange and white that you just made and one of the pink and white. And the reason why we press both of them to the dark side is so that they're, when you nest them together in the next step, they're opposites and they fit real nice together. So that way when we sew, they're not going to move, they're going to line up just right. We're going to do that with both of them. And now we should be on the second page of our pattern. So after you've nested them, I'm going to take pins and I'm going to stick, I already put one in this end and one in this end, stick one on each side just to keep it from moving. Then we're going to draw a line again. The side opposite of the seam's in the middle, we're going to draw on the one that hasn't been sewn yet. Again, you can either do it right down the middle, you can do it like I do it, where you do a 1/4 inch on either side, whatever your preference is. Again, my OCD brain needs it on either side. That's just me. Alright. So we're going to have, here's the seam in the middle. Orange is here, the pink is on the other side here. You're going to draw your line right down the middle or on either side. And now we're going to sew that. Here we go. Those dreaded pins out. And you should have something that looks somewhat like this. You'll have one on each side. We're going to cut these apart right down the middle. rotary cutter. There we go. And when you open them up, you'll have like an hourglass looking shape. Same thing. Each block gives you 2. You want to iron these. Iron these open. You can either press open at this point, or you can press them to one side. I usually press them to one side unless I have a lot of thick seams in the middle. There's that one. Now, after you get done pressing them, you'll need a ruler and a rotary cutter because we're going to cut these down to size. I'll show you. And so what's really nice about this block is that the pattern was written oversized, so you don't have to be exactly precise. I'm going to get my iron out of the way. And whatever ruler you have will work. I'm using, since these need to be 4.5 inches square once after we cut them down, I'm using my Creative Grids 4.5 inch square. I just happen to have it. You don't have to have it. You don't have to run out and buy one. But whatever ruler you have that you can square them down to 4.5 inches square is perfect. So I'm going to put mine, the Creative Grids are nice. They have like a little circle right in the middle that shows you the exact center. So I'm just going to lay that right in the center. And I'm just going to trim it all the way. I love when there's oversized blocks or patterns like this because it allows a little room for error and you can still be precise. So we got a little 4.5 inch block now. I'm going to do that to all these, and then we'll go on to the next step. Now once you've got those all trimmed up, we're going to put the block together. We're almost done. So I like to lay out my block ahead of time before I sew it. I'm going to move this guy over here. So we're going to have a white, and then the orange is going to go to the left, and then another white background square, and then we're going to have an orange. This time it's going to go down. Then we're going to put the yellow right in the middle, and then we're going to have another one of these little blocks and have the orange towards the top, and then we're going to do a white here and a white here, and then the orange is going to go to the right. So the orange is always going to be, if you go around in a circle like clockwise, it's always going to be on the left if you look at it that way. So if I turn this, it's always going to be on the left, and the pink's always going to be on the right. And let's get this put together. I'm going to start the top row. Grab your white, grab your hourglass. You can pin if you want. I'm not really a pinner. I'm good with however it comes out. I'd rather, you know, not stick myself. I'm very bad about that. But if you want it perfect, then you should pin. Grab that other white. Make sure you're sewing with a 1/4 inch seam. Or if not a 1/4 inch, at least make sure that every pass you take rest the same. Okay, we got that row done. Now I'm going to pick up one of the hourglass in the yellow. Hourglass. Okay, that's row number 2, and we're going to do our third row. I do stop every once in a while and check to make sure the fabric is still lined up under there. Okay, you should have something that looks a little bit like that. You'll have 3 pieces. I'm going to iron before I go on. So, the top and the bottom row, I'm going to iron towards the white. This is the top, this is the bottom. And then the middle one, I'm going to iron in towards the yellow. So we ironed out on the top and the bottom and in on the middle row. That way everything will nest very nicely. Alright, I'm going to put that aside. Now, make sure that you've got the orange on the left before you attach it here. Don't do it like this. I did that when I practiced, and then you have to rip it out. So it should always be orange, pink, orange, pink, orange, pink, and so on. Okay, now here's probably where I will pin again. As much as I love pinning, I'm going to put it right. Oops. Those didn't line up good. Okay, and nest those seams together. I know I'm not supposed to put a pin in my mouth, but it's my pin. I can do what I want. And then I'm going to nest them over here and do the same thing. Pin. And then we can sew those together. Pins out. I'm just going to finger press this open for now. Okay, now I'm going to do this side. Okay, pink, orange. I have to keep thinking about that because else I'll sew it the wrong way. That pin there. Let's nest this side. Last seam. Yay. Here goes. Yes, I do sew over pins. I know that's another no-no, but I like to do that. Makes everything right. But I do go a little bit slower over the pins. This guy slipped a little bit. Alright. All done. One more thing. I'm just going to iron it and we'll take a look at it. There's my ironing pad. I'm going to use my piecing pen again. So it just makes everything lay nice and flat. Can't wait to see how it came out. I hope that if you're sewing along, you share in the Creative Notions Facebook group. I'd love to see how yours came out. One more. There we go. I'm excited. I love to see how things come out. That's why I like long arm quilting. I love to see the finished product. I get very excited when I'm on the last row. There we go. And we are done. Yay! And I kept most of my points, so I'm very excited about that. That's awesome. And so you're going to make this times 2. I've already got one back here that I made. And here's my second one. You need 2 for the quilt. So yay! Well done. Thank you for sewing with me. And I will see you in the Creative Notions group. And this was fun. Take care. After I listened to this back, I realized that you all could hear my children. And I apologize. I'm in the basement and they're above me. And so there's a lot of jumping on the floor and screaming. They're just playing and having fun, but that's what the noise is. So there it is.